Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
Impact of the government shutdown. Day 29, both sides under growing pressure to end the stalemate with 42 million Americans set to lose food assistance benefits. Jay Bryant is on Capitol Hill for us with the latest. Good morning, Jay.
Yeah, Michael, good morning. Despite that growing pressure on Congress to end this shutdown, the Senate yesterday failing to pass a funding bill for the 13th time. Vice President J.D. Vance up here on Capitol Hill, encouraging Republicans to stay unified and saying he believes the administration has found a way to pay troops when their paychecks come due at the end of this week. All as SNAP, that critical federal food assistance program, is set to run out of money in just days for the first time in its 60-year history. More than 24 Democratic-led states now suing the Trump administration over the USDA's reversal. The agency now saying it doesn't legally believe it can use emergency funds to cover SNAP during this shutdown. Democrats, meantime, on Capitol Hill continue to dig in here, saying that they're fighting for an extension of Obamacare tax credits and to prevent premiums from skyrocketing for some 20 million Americans, and even some Republicans starting to feel the heat from this health care issue, too. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that she confronted Speaker of the House Mike Johnson on a GOP conference call yesterday in a heated exchange, saying that she has, quote, no respect for the House being out on recess for the 5th straight week in a row now, and saying she demanded to know what the Republican plan for health care is. Robin.
Do you know how bad it is when Marjorie Taylor Greene starts making sense? Have we officially entered hell? I'm just saying. Anyway, today's date, October 29th, 2025, and this is How the Frack We Got Here. I'm your host, the most Will Buchanan on the Frack We Got Here. We do take events of the week and try to make sense of it all. Before we get started, guys, let you know that we do pride ourselves on being on news podcast. We do cite from only reputable sources with award-winning journalism. We do not do sensational news like Fox News, The Blaze, The Daily Beast, wherever extreme left or extreme right you get your views from. We simply do not do that. We just provide just the facts. At the same time, we do try to watch our professionalism and try to limit our curse words, but words fly. At the same time, we do show things that might be too graphic or too intense for your viewers. So viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. Well, yeah, 42 million Americans may be affected because, well, Republicans, being the fact that they have the majority in the House, the majority in the Senate, that they literally have the presidency, they have a right-leaning Supreme Court, they have pushed through major legislation through reconciliation without Democratic support. And yet, when it comes to reopening the government, somehow it's the Democrats' problem. For all those that have been keeping track, guys, it has been 28 days, 14 hours, 43 minutes, and now 47 seconds since the government has been shut down on October 1st. And again, this comes to an estimate, again, a daily cost anywhere between 200 to 400 million, depending on your math. But yes, we are still in the middle of a shutdown. At the same time, SNAP benefits are being affected. And of course, yes, we are getting around the holiday season. And at the same time, here's what you may not know about the USDA, because they do have emergency funds to actually be able to still provide SNAP benefits, because let's be honest, in the middle of a government shutdown, only politicians are paid. Federal government contractors and workers are on furlough. Air traffic controllers and TSA agents have to work without paychecks, even though they are considered quote unquote essential workers. I said essential workers. I have never seen the term essential workers being used so hard, and yet they treat these people like crap. Yet senators and representatives, whether they're Republican or Democrat, are still getting paid through the U.S. Treasury and also bound by the Constitution. Let's think about this for a second. In the Constitution, it does guarantee that representatives and senators and basically all politicians get paid. Whereas those that work for the government, whether they're staffers, whether they work in the federal buildings, whether they are custodians or cooks or however they are, the fact that they are considered part of the government staff, they do not collect paychecks. Yet the people that have the ability to reopen the government do. And I've said it before, and I've said it again. If you basically are getting paid to do a job, regardless of your actions, you may not have the incentive to actually do your job because you are getting paid. So again, it seems like a big ass thing of I got mine, get yours. But going back to the USDA for a second, the USADA does have emergency funds to actually help in the event that they need to fund SNAP benefits for people to actually get food. Here's the thing. They have been told by the Taco administration that basically, no.
The government shutdown. Obamacare, which has been the sticking point between Democrats and Republicans that is keeping the shutdown going, and federal food benefits that are commonly known as SNAP. It is about to run out of money because the Trump White House decided not to use emergency money to keep it going. That is a decision that Speaker Mike Johnson came out in support of today. And so far, both parties have made no progress in reopening the government. When it comes to those Obamacare subsidies, it might already be too late to.
So let's stop it right there for 1 second. Because I just want y'all to go back and see that headline right there. That yes, closeted serial killer, possibly, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, agrees with Taco's plans to not tap into the $5 billion in reserves that could be used for benefit for actually providing SNAP benefits to those that will need it. Now, keep in mind, these SNAP benefits, guys, will basically expire as of a couple of days from now. I mean, November 1st. So you got to think in about 3 days, those benefits expire. And the way they're going, December's benefits may not be there. And yes, we are getting into the month of the holidays and things of that nature. But here's the thing. You have folks working full-time jobs that literally and figuratively can't put food on the table or may have to go to much dire needs. And that is a scary ass thought. But the fact that the Taco administration has $5 billion in revenue, I'm sorry, in $5 billion in emergency funds, not revenue. I apologize. $5 billion in emergency funding, right? You could use that towards SNAP and be able to make sure that Americans get their benefits. Because I'm pretty sure you've seen it on social media, guys. Folks out there, now some of it is for clout. I'll be honest, some of it's for clout. We're not gonna share those because honestly, a lot of them to me are just attention getters. You know, I got 6 children. It's the government's job to take care of me, and I'm not gonna work for anybody, which kind of leads the whole entire stigma to a lot of people believe that folks on food stamps are just lazy people mooching off the government. That's not true, because there's a lot of people out there that are working their asses off, and the income is not matching their effort, but they're still having to make it work. Some people are just by themselves. Some people do have kids, and some people are just two, and, you know, depending on the families, you have 1 or 2 of the parents working, if not 1 and 2 jobs on a side hustle. And it's still not enough because everything's going up thanks to Taco's tariffs. That being said, however, there's another reason why the Democrats, and I will give the Democrats credit. I will give the Democrats credit because they sat there and drew their line in the sand and said, unless you're going to extend the Obamacare benefits for 25 million Americans, no, we're not going to budge. Because the Republicans are just like, well, we just want to reopen the government and then we can discuss it. You're going to reopen the government, then you're going to ignore it. Because I just want to point something out here. Republicans always talk about healthcare. Where's their plan? Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I never thought I'd say this. She's screaming, where's the Republican health plan? But everybody should be looking at her like, that's the party you saddled your wagon to. Maybe you should be asking them where the actual plan is. And I apologize, guys. My camera froze up for a second, so bear with me. But the thing I'm getting at here, guys, is Marjorie Taylor Greene makes sense. And I never thought I would say that. And it kind of hurts my soul a little bit that I said that. But yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sorry, guys. So sorry about that. So again, guys, and I know, bear with me, working on the camera. But it's just crazy, guys, that Marjorie Taylor Greene makes sense. I never thought in all of my time I would be agreeing with her. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bad taste in my mouth. Not gonna lie. But that also being said, guys, there is another reason why we are bringing up the fact that the Democrats are basically putting their feet in the sand. And why? Well, Rachel Maddow has a wonderful point about healthcare premiums. If under Republicans, what would happen?
Insane numbers. States are now starting to release the actual numbers on what the Republicans' policy changes have done to health insurance costs with this legislation that they've passed this year. This is what the Democrats have been making a stink about. You've heard, like, Democrats are concerned in the shutdown fight about healthcare costs and health insurance, and you think, like, oh, Democrats are always concerned about health costs. That's nice. I care about health costs. I'm glad they're standing up for it. No, it's this specific thing. Look at these numbers from the New York Times tonight. Look at this. This is for the tens of millions of Americans who get their health insurance through the online marketplaces. Look. Based on the newly posted information, meaning the pricing information that's now being posted in multiple states, a family of four making $130,000 in Maine, so you combine the family's income, everybody's salaries, you got to do $130,000, that family would face an increase in their annual health insurance premiums next year of $16,100. That's how much their health insurance premiums would go up. But maybe that's, that sounds like it's a fairly well-off family, and you think, oh, well, maybe that doesn't apply to me. I'm not quite in that kind of a bracket. Well, imagine you're in a couple, you're each 60 years old, and you put both of your salaries together combined, you make $85,000 a year. So maybe one of you's making 40 grand a year, maybe one of you's making $45,000 a year. Combined, your couple's income is $85,000 a year. In Maryland, your insurance premium is going to go up by $13,700. In Minnesota, your insurance is going to go up by $15,500. In Nevada, it's going to go up by $18,100. In Kentucky, the increase for you guys as a couple will be that you are expected to pay an additional $23,700 per year. That is the amount of increase we are looking at in people's health insurance premiums. Can your family afford just randomly an additional charge of $24,000 for exactly what you're getting right now, for $24,000 less than that? I mean, these are insane numbers. But this is what Republicans, in their policy changes on healthcare, what they have done to health insurance costs. And this specifically is what Democrats have been screaming bloody murder about. This is what Democrats have been drawing the line about in this shutdown, telling Republicans that this is the thing they need to fix. Think they're going to fix it? Think they will? President Trump doesn't appear real focused on it. I mean, these are insane numbers. States are now starting to release the actual numbers on what the Republicans' policy changes have done to health insurance costs with this legislation that they've passed this year. This is what the Democrats have been making a stink about. You've heard, like, Democrats are concerned in the shutdown fight about healthcare costs and health insurance, and you think, like, oh, Democrats are always concerned about health costs. That's nice. I care about health costs. I'm glad they're standing up for it. No, it's this specific thing. Look at these numbers from the New York Times tonight. Look at this. This is for the tens of millions of Americans who get their health insurance through the online marketplaces. Look. Based on the newly posted information, meaning the pricing information that's now being posted in multiple states, a family of four making $130,000 in Maine, so you combine the family's income, everybody's salaries, you got to do $130,000, that family would face an increase in their annual health insurance premiums next year of $16,100. That's how much their health insurance premiums would go up. But maybe that's, that sounds like it's a fairly well-off family, and you think, oh, well, maybe that doesn't apply to me. I'm not quite in that kind of a bracket. Well, imagine you're in a couple, you're each 60 years old, and you put both of your salaries together combined, you make $85,000 a year. So maybe one of you's making 40 grand a year, maybe one of you's making $45,000 a year. Combined, your couple's income is $85,000 a year. In Maryland, your insurance premium is going to go up by $13,700. In Minnesota, your insurance is going to go up by $15,500. In Nevada, it's going to go up by $18,100. In Kentucky, the increase for you guys as a couple will be that you are expected to pay an additional $23,700 per year. That is the amount of increase we are looking at in people's health insurance premium.
And yes, we are back online. Appreciate that, guys, for your patience. But yes, Rachel Maddow has a point. And the reason why I wanted to play that twice is because I need to hit home the fact that if this continues, and keep in mind, the healthcare marketplace is opening next month. The marketplaces, if not, I think someone may be open in some states, but for the majority of the U.S., they're going to be reopening very soon. And health insurance premiums, if not going to be doubled, more than doubled. And asking the American people to pay more for the same health insurance is effing crazy. Asking Americans to pay more for the same health insurance that we're getting is extortion. Legalized extortion. And you know what? Here's my thing. You notice the health insurance companies are not complaining? Of course they're not. Profits are going to be wonderful for them. But I don't see any of the CEOs coming forward and saying, you know what, we need to be more complacent about our customers. Maybe we are charging too much. Maybe we are whining about, paying, being hounded by the CMS, the Centers for Medicaid Services. Maybe we are, passing the buck because we do actually control the drug prices and not the actual drug makers. Maybe we need to stop lobbying Congress to make sure that we don't go to a Medicare for All program. You'll never hear that out of a healthcare insurance company. Not United Health, not Aetna, not Humana. I can keep going down the list. You'll never hear that from them. But at the same time, take this and SNAP and health insurance. And we haven't even got to the jobs report, which, by the way, a lot of companies doing massive layoffs. Like the title of this weekly podcast that we have, we are just one SNAP benefit short of the purge. And I hate to say that, because going back to SNAP and whatnot, food banks are widely popular, even for federal workers, which in this case, the next video shows.
In Southeast D.C., this food bank line just for federal workers,
you have to have your government ID,
stretches around the block. Many furloughed federal employees like Anthony Spite now waiting hours for help.
I have children to feed, I have a family to take care of, I have a mortgage to pay. So it's a lot of uncertainty.
The Bipartisan Policy Center reports 1.4 million civilian federal employees like Spite did not get paid today.
I never thought that I would be in this predicament where I'm in need of assistance.
Under a 2019 law, federal workers will be reimbursed at the end of the government shutdown. But that help could still be a long way away, with Congress not in session.
How does it make you feel that members of Congress are still getting a paycheck right now?
If we're not getting paid, I honestly feel that their checks should be withheld as well.
And as food banks face an influx of federal workers,
it's scary.
The clock is ticking for millions more.
With the shutdown, I believe that we'll get double the amount, maybe even triple the amount that we see now.
Federal funding for food programs like SNAP and WIC in danger of running dry by the end of the month.
To last all the way for the next month, even to cover December, it won't. We will be starving.
Our NBC affiliate in Kansas City breaks down what that assistance looks like for the 41 million Americans who rely on the program.
I'm Megan Abundis, grocery shopping in South Kansas City. This cart full of staples, some fresh produce, fresh fruit, some meat, and bread represents what the average person on SNAP benefits or food stamps can afford for an entire week. The national average benefit for a breakdown per person per week is about $46 to $74. That's what we've spent here, $48.68 for this cart full of groceries.
How you doing, ma'am? You can choose one item.
With no end to the shutdown in sight, many now preparing for what could be a long road ahead.
What can I do about it? But just keep pushing forward. As they say, push until something happens.
The food.
So what's crazy about that is that's government workers. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of food banks around here, and they're going to be taxed. And don't get me wrong about food banks like Second Harvest. I know here in Tennessee we have Second Harvest, and that's a food bank, and there's many others out there. But yeah, think about the fact that they're going to be taxed. Not just government workers, but everyone, because the cost of living is not matching the output of work that we're putting out there. And I'll be honest with you, if you ask me, how do you feel that politicians are still getting paid for doing nothing? You are killing yourself. I mean, damn near busting your ass, and you're in a line to hopefully get groceries to keep keep people in your house or keep yourself fed. How would that make you feel? That guy was a lot better than me. I say pissed. I say, what is the whole point? And I said, I can go with this whole thing of what is the whole point between Democrats and Republicans? Because I can be mad at both sides. But in the event of how the government is ran, I'm only mad at Republicans. Republicans sat there and said, oh, well, we have power. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And idiots believe them. Idiots believe Taco, where only I can get grocery costs down. Grocery costs are out through the effing roof. I can get the cost of energy down. He has killed wind turbines and other renewable energies and increased coal mining, fracking, and drilling, and lumber mining. Only I can get, the cost of eggs down. Yep, last time I checked, the cost of eggs is up, motherfucker. At the same time, people believed him because for some odd reason, and I don't mean to make fun of people that don't attend college. There are plenty of people that are highly intelligent that never attended college. But I can only imagine, because it's been statistically shown that those that did not complete college or did not go for higher education usually vote conservative. Whereas those, and again, this is just, it's just, I am paraphrasing, because every time I ask somebody, why did you vote conservative? I ask that all the time. Because the Conservative Party is literally nothing more than a bunch of old white men making sure that corporations and rich people are protected. Hence, why? Who's benefiting right now? Corporations, rich people, those with big businesses. Again, if there's one thing Taco's good at, he's good at protecting people that will gladly donate to him. Even more so, guys, here's another thing that'll piss you off. Because remember Argentina? Where Taco sat there and said, we're going to give $20 billion to Argentina to help bail them out. And this is where Marjorie Taylor Greene must have lifted herself up from the Coke table and said, what? We're doing what? And again, the reason why I bring that up is because, we're about to give them another $20 billion as a rescue plan for Argentina. I sat there and said on this podcast, why are we donating to Israel? I sat there and said on this podcast, I will sit there and say it again. Why are we donating to Argentina? You literally have people, your own constituents, citizens, and workers are now trying to feed themselves in food lines. Whereas, Mr. We don't have the money apparently has $40 billion to burn in Argentina. $40 billion with a B. And I guarantee on the back end, Argentina is very, very grateful. Of course, they're very grateful. We just gave them $40 billion. $40 for private sector to invest in the private sector, which tells you off the bat that there's probably American investors or contractors in Argentina that are about to get a hell of a kickback. That's all private sector is. But that's not the only thing, because again, keep in mind, they can't find, $5 billion in reserves that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast that they won't fund, that the USDA is not allowed to use because, well, Taco administration says so. Yet they got no problem accepting $130 million anonymously from a donor to help pay for troops during the government shutdown. Think about that. An anonymous person, which again, Taco said, well, I won't give his name. I said, thank you for narrowing that down. It's pretty much one of your buddies that decided to turn around and donate $130 million to pay for troops. Now keep this in mind. Let's keep a nice little tally of everybody that's getting paid during the shutdown. Senators, Republicans, presidential offices, ICE, National Guard. 5 different people, 5 different groups of people. Because ICE is going to get paid because ICE is too busy being the modern day Gestapo, still trying to round up what they call illegal immigrants. But we'll get in that story momentarily. At the same time, you sent the National Guard to basically occupy democratic cities as intimidation, which we all know that's bullshit. So you got to keep them paid, because we've seen what happens when you don't pay soldiers. They have a tendency of, rebelling, which, again, I bring up the Purge. And I don't mean to bring up the Purge as far as an option, but I'm like, all those things in the Purge movies literally happening right now. And yet at the same time, like I said, we're one SNAP benefit away. And I've always said this on the show too. Not everybody is not rich. All of us are either 1 or 2 paychecks away from poverty, 1 or 2 paychecks away from being on the street. We are. And that just goes to show you the wealth income gap that we really do have in this country. We really do. But really quickly for a second, because I was going to talk about Taco and his ballroom for a second. Remember that $250 million ballroom that he wanted, that he sat there and said wouldn't affect any of the buildings? Then he lied and found out that the entire East Wing is destroyed because he wanted this grandioso ballroom because he believes he's not leaving. So he's making the White House Mar-a-Lago number 2. And we wonder when he sat there and said, well, we're getting donations from various people. And I'm just going to point a few things out here because he did say various people, right? Let's go down the list, shall we? So, tech giants, Google, Palantir, Amazon, and Microsoft. T-Mobile as well. YouTube, which again, this kind of answers the question of what happened on the other side. YouTube paying $22 million toward the Ballroom project as a case, as a part of a settlement case that Taco brought up for removing him from the platform after the January 6th domestic terrorist insurrection. I refuse to call it a riot. At the same time, Palantir is donating $800 million in government contracts. Again, because the Taco administration made them a key player in managing and consolidating data among the American federal agencies. Amazon and Microsoft get hundreds of millions in government contracts. T-Mobile also decided to donate. Also decided to donate to the Taco campaign. But what's so crazy is, and I just want to point this out, that there is, remember Trump Mobile? Remember when Trump tried to come up with those gold ass phones? Anyway, so T-Mobile is basically a link to a Trump organization mobile phone and cell phone company, which again, conflict of effing interest. Now, the company itself isn't run by Taco's organization, but using the president's name as a license. And for all those that don't know, the Trump Mobile network still going on is run on Liberty Mobile Wireless, which is a company that rents bandwidth from carriers like T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. And I can keep going down the list, guys. And that's just a few. That's just text. We haven't got to everybody else. But these are the people. If you think this ballroom is nothing more outside of the fact that it's an eyesore, but it's basically a vehicle for companies to come in and pay their tributes. I hate to say it, but it's true. At the same time, it's amazing. We're seeing all this money go into different areas and aspects, from companies that don't pay anything in taxes, from companies that, benefit from subsidiaries, because Walmart is the biggest subsidiary. Walmart is the biggest recipient of SNAP benefits. You pay your workers so low that they have to go on food stamps. And then guess what? Because you're the only store in town, they have to shop where they work. And who wins? Walmart. The entire Walton family. And you got to think about it. For estimated $433 billion. There's millionaires and central millionaires around that group. And that should tell you everything you want to know. But again, I just want to bring up the essential workers thing, because that always bugs me about it. Every time I say, we love our essential workers. Remember during COVID, oh, we love our essential workers, our nurses, our doctors, our first responders, go down the list. We couldn't appreciate our essential workers enough because we couldn't pay them. And even now, FAA flight controllers, those that work in the towers, those that work in TSA, are now working on a paycheck. Missed their first paycheck after this week. So, guys, all I can sit there and say is, imagine you are working a job that, regardless if you get paid or not, you are expected to be there. How's your morale going to be? Well, the director of the TSA, I think is kind of full of shit on this interview, but you tell me.
Now approaching 1 month, federal employees who support the nation's airports remain in the dark about when they'll be paid. Today, some workers got paychecks totaling $0. Joining us now is the acting deputy administrator at the TSA, Adam Stahl. Mr. Stahl, thanks so much for your time. What's the morale like at the TSA right now?
I think morale is strong. I know these individuals, of course, are mission dedicated. They're focused on really ensuring the safety and the security of our skies every single day. But of course, they're human beings like you and I, and so they have bills to pay and childcare, to help facilitate and support. So again, they're mission dedicated, but they're definitely feeling the impacts every single day.
Should Americans be confident in the security of our nation's airports during this time?
Yes, we are focused on operational continuity. We are ensuring that there's no degradation in security in the slightest. However, we have seen some isolated impacts from a security perspective in terms of wait lines. So there will be, we've seen isolated impacts, to wait times specifically. And if this continues on as the days continue, we expect those wait times to increase. So we're hoping for a speedy resolution to this issue.
So how far in advance would you now recommend that people show up at the airport as the government continues to stay shut down?
We're asking individuals, per policy, to continue showing up 2 to 2.5 hours before for domestic flights. So we ask folks to be patient, to be respectful, and please, travel again respectfully when going to the airport.
We've seen TSA workers resorting to food banks in order to try to feed their families. Is there anything the agency can do if this stretches on even further? Are you worried some workers may just ultimately quit?
Yeah, we're focused again on operational continuity on a variety of different things, and the community, of course, has been incredible. Airlines, airports, private citizens have donated a variety of grocery cards, gas cards, meal cards, and so we really are focused again on supporting them in any way we can. And so we really urge Democrats to come back to the table and really ensure that we are in really facilitating again the safety and the security of our skies. And again, we're focused on that job at hand, regardless of shutdown or not.
Are you seeing an increase in people who are calling out sick, taking time off, simply not showing up, or quitting?
Yeah, we have seen some occasional upticks in unexcused absences, and that's caused the occasional disruption and increase in wait times at select airports like Atlanta, JFK, New York. And so, as I mentioned before, we do expect wait times, unfortunately, to increase and disruptions to continue. No degradation to security, but again, there will be an increase in pain at the airport in terms of wait times if this drags on.
Adam Stahl, we thank you so much for your time.
So again, guys, this is where I sit there and I say, yeah, he's full of shit. But then again, he's part of the taco administration. You're not gonna sit there and tell me morale is strong, because let's be honest. You work a job. You work a job because look, I come in, I work 6 hours, I do my job, and therefore you will pay me. If you don't pay me, I don't work, because I don't work for free. And that's the part that always bothers me, even when the TSA. Well, how's the morale of TSA right now when you have a whole bunch of workers that are forced to come to work, are missing paychecks, still trying to make ends meet, still trying to get bills paid. At the same time, you have to ensure the security of passengers as they get on planes. How's the morale? The morale is strong. You are full of shit, sir. You are full of it. Because I'm sorry, I am usually a positive person. I'm usually a happy-go-lucky person. But if you sit there and you tell me that I'm not getting paid, at the same time, oh, well, we still expect you to work. Bull and shit. I'll call out. I won't show up. Or if this continues, I quit. Because again, the bills don't work on furlough. The bills don't work on government shutdowns. The bills don't work. If anything, the billing system of anything and the billing system of any service, utility, or anything else that's provided, the billing system never breaks down. Everything else can break down in that company, but the billing system is clockwork. And if you got bills to pay, kids to feed, car note, house car note, mortgage, rent, insurance, medical. If you have all these things, it's like a bunch of hands every time you get paid that you have to turn around and pay those hands. But you're telling me that, oh, the morale is strong and we have people coming in and doing things and you can't tell me what things they're doing, or, you know, we've had some issues, but really it's not that bad. You, sir, are just, my whole thing is, I'm going to be honest, this is how I know for a journalist, I'll be like, dude, cut the shit. Cut it. This is the worst. This is probably by far the worst PR move that you can do for you, and lie. We've seen the people at TSA, especially now that they haven't got a paycheck. Have you ever seen a friendly person at TSA when all you hear is suitcase open, shoes off, please have all bags open as they will be searched. Thank you. Do you really want to hear that from a guy who hasn't got paid in a while? He might be a little less friendly. And of course, everybody's ever been to the airport knows how fun it is, and they just made it worse. But even more so, again, the stigma that these Republicans try to say, especially they used to, because remember a long time ago during the Bill O'Reilly times at Fox, at fake ass Fox News, oh, well, people that need SNAP really don't need SNAP. These are able-bodied workers. Remember how Republicans were just saying not too long ago before the shutdown? Oh, we're gonna remove the fraud and waste abuse from Medicare and SNAP because they are able-bodied people that can go out and work, but they are too busy mooching off the government. No, sir, that's you. You are being paid for doing nothing. You, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who for now going on 5 weeks in a row has refused to bring anything to the floor. You have closed down the House. The Senate has still been there, and they voted, even though it has went nowhere. But you, Mr. Mike Johnson, you still get paid. You still get to sit there and whatever squawk box will have you, will sit there and tout the bullshit. But no matter what, you're still getting paid, not your staffers. And so, going back to TSA, you're going to sit there and tell me morale is strong when nothing is being done for these workers. You're doing a lot of bold, non-detailed soliloquies that you're giving out there. And at the same time, nothing real is being said. That's why I say to that man, you are full of shit. But speaking of full of shit, Taco finally sat there and said, well, maybe I'll not be able to get a third term. But I just want you to listen to what he says before I respond to that.
You know, they said highest numbers that I've ever had, as I should. I ended 8 wars, and we have the greatest economy in history. And by the way, energy prices are way down. Everything's way down. Beef is a little bit high. We're going to get beef down too. But prices are down and the economy is up. The only thing that's not down is the stock prices. And 401ks are through the roof. Everyone's 401ks hitting records. So we have the greatest economy we've ever had. I have my highest poll numbers that I've ever had. And, you know, based on what I read, I guess I'm not allowed to run. So we'll see what happens.
Johnson says you're trolling when you talk about a third term.
Well, I don't think he said that. I don't think he'd use that term, but it's a very interesting thing. I have the best numbers for any president in many years, any president. And I would say that if you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad. I missed it. But we have a lot of great people.
Here's the thing that bothers me. The thing that bothers me is how he said it. He's really nonchalant. He's like a guy that's never assumed accountability in his life. He's never accepted. He'll accept the praise, but never the blame. And you know, this whole thing of, oh, I ended 8 wars. I ended 8 wars. No, you didn't. We talked about it. Look, let me tell you something. The whole 8 wars bit, nah. Hell no. He didn't do anything. And it wasn't even, and there were conflicts, but not wars. But he'll swear up and down that he did something because, you know, just because you threw poop on the wall doesn't make you an artist. At the same time, oh, the numbers don't look better. No, your numbers are pretty much in the toilet. Oh, the economy. Oh, no, don't use the economy. The economy right now is not your friend. But at the same doggone time, you're going to stand and say, well, I read that I couldn't run for third term, while you have Steve Bannon's racist ass over there talking about their alternatives. Because, you know, he feels like if I look very astute and I speak very slowly, I sound intelligent. No, Steve Bannon sounds like a fucking idiot. But there is nothing. The 22nd Amendment ensures that no president can run more than 2 terms. And everybody said, oh, well, he could exercise wartime powers and cancel the elections. It will take an act of Congress to do that. The president is not a dictator. The president cannot just simply wave a wand and sit there and say, I cancel elections. Doesn't work that way. He already tried a coup. I don't think he's going to try. The president has already tried a coup once. Don't think he's going to do it again. Also, at the same time, that man basically wears more makeup than a person that crash landed into Sephora. And you can tell, although from what I understand, you know, his health is supposedly great, but he's already gone to go to the 3rd MRI. So what does that tell you? But sticking with Taco for a second, because he is trying, he's trying to appeal. Oh, there we go. He is trying to appeal his New York hush money conviction. Now, again, guys, though, for all those don't remember, he did lose a few cases. Number one, he was found guilty of trying to hide payments to Stormy Daniels because he messed around with a porn star and tried to hide the payments during his campaign election. He's trying to get that overturned because he's saying he wasn't given a fair deal. Faulty evidence and a judge who should have recused himself is the excuse his attorneys are using, and they're now trying to appeal his conviction. Here's the problem. He is trying his hardest to not be seen as a felon, because right now he is. He is a convict. He is a felon. He was found guilty of paying hush money payments to a porn star, found guilty of mortgage fraud, and now he's trying to alleviate that because he believes, and again, guys, this is the point I keep making when it comes to Taco and court cases. Remember when I sat there and said a while back that, you know, the Republicans have a right-leaning SCOTUS? Why do you think Taco loves sitting there and saying, oh, we'll go legal route because the highest court case in the land is in my favor? And I have sat there and said multiple times on this podcast, that is the danger of a conservative-leaning Supreme Court. Note I said danger, because he will look at that and he will sit there and say, oh, we'll just take it to the Supreme Court. I know how it will go. And again, now do I think that these cases will go there? No, because these are appeals. So it'll go to the second circuit court and probably die a horrible death, because he cannot get away from the fact, Taco cannot get away from the fact that he was found guilty, not in one case, but 2 cases. And he can try as he might to whitewash history. We know you are a felon, and yes, a felon can become president, but you will never wash that stink off of you. Much like the Jeffrey Epstein files, which surprisingly enough has not been said all week. But I digress. Moving right along, guys, we're going to cover this story as well because, again, I have to re-stress this because Ken Paxton, Attorney General out of Texas, is allowing lawsuits for Tylenol. Why Tylenol? Well, yeah, a certain idiot who is now our Secretary of Human Health decided to make that outrageous statement that Tylenol causes autism and ADHD. I wish I could make this up.
Texas is suing the
All I can sit there and say, and I think I was muted. Let me try that again because I think we were slightly muted. My apologies. Let's try that again.
Texas is suing the makers of Tylenol over an unproven link to autism. The Texas Attorney General says Johnson & Johnson and Kenvue marketed Tylenol to pregnant mothers despite knowing acetaminophen leads to an increased risk of autism and other disorders. President Trump and Health Secretary Kennedy have discouraged pregnant women from taking Tylenol, citing it as a possible cause of autism. As some studies have suggested a possible link, but stopped short of showing cause and effect, and other similar large studies show no link. Now Kenvue is responding in a statement saying, "We will defend ourselves against these baseless claims and respond per the legal process. We stand firmly with the global medical community that acknowledges the safety of acetaminophen and believe we will continue to be successful in litigation as these claims lack legal merit and scientific support." This is the first lawsuit of its kind from a state government.
Okay, so look, there's no other way I could say this. If you believe RFK, you're a fucking idiot. You believe an anti-vaxxer, like I said, anti-vaxxers' advice, knowledge, and research belongs in the same area in a library as does Twilight and everything else, the fiction section. Again, and I'll keep this short and sweet. RFK is an idiot. Taco's an idiot. Neither one are doctors. Ladies, if you are pregnant or just in health in general, please talk to a doctor. Please talk to someone that has went to medical school. Please talk to someone that's done their residency. Please talk to someone that is constantly being put in front of boards to be certified. Please talk to those that have actually done the work. Doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, research scientists, things of that nature. Basically, all those in the healthcare professional field. Talk to them. Please do not listen to a guy that looks like he sounds like he's just one good cough away from getting out whatever's in his throat. Please do not listen to a guy that looks like he's got on more makeup than most of the Kardashian staff, most of the Kardashian women. Again, there's no other way to say this except for the fact, guys, please listen to your doctors. Because, again, Tylenol does not cause autism. It does not cause ADHD. Just pointing that out there. But getting back to ICE, because I know we brought them up not too long ago, the modern-day Gestapo's in hot water, specifically the chief of the Border Patrol, because, well, something happened in Chicago, but let's talk about the chief first.
The top Border Patrol official is in court today over concerns about agents' tactics in Chicago. Agents, including Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, are accused of deploying tear gas despite a restraining order allowing agents to use tear gas only in limited circumstances. Bovino is defending his agents' actions, saying they used the least amount of force necessary. Now the plaintiffs are asking a judge to temporarily ban agents from using tear gas in the city altogether. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is following that story for us. Stephanie, I know you spoke to Bovino. What are you watching for in this hearing today?
So we won't be able to hear in real time, but Customs Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino will be there. The judge wants to hear from him. He's being called in to testify about the tear gas incident last week and overall the use of force that we've seen lately in Chicago. The judge wants to find out if it was in violation violation of the temporary restraining order that restricts but does not ban the use of force against members of the press, clergymen, and activists. And as of last night, the plaintiffs in the case are now asking the judge to temporarily ban the use of tear gas. You've seen the images over the last couple of days. It's been really intense there on the ground. Chief Bovino says that use of tear gas was necessary, but didn't disclose any more details. He says, of course, we'll have to hear his account during that hearing. So we'll find out more later.
And I know he was a bit tight-lipped, saying, well, this will play out in court. But what stuck out to you from your conversation with him?
Well, he has said that they want to use the least amount of force and in order to apprehend undocumented immigrants. And this is the way to do it, by using tear gas. Of course, there's a video from an incident last week where you can see Chief Bovino. There's a photo of that incident right there. And it seems as though he has a canister in his hand. That's what they'll be talking about today in that hearing. But here's a little bit of that conversation with Chief Bovino. Here's a clip.
When we utilize force in law enforcement, and this is in law enforcement in general, as we use force, it's the least amount of force necessary to affect an arrest or to affect the successful outcome of any given mission that we're on. So whether it's the use of tear gas or the use of hand techniques or any use of force by law enforcement, that's that least amount of force necessary to positively affect the outcome of that mission. And that's what we do here in Chicago.
So there you can hear him reiterating that same sentiment. They want to use the least amount of force. So, of course, we'll see what the judge says this afternoon regarding tear gas. But this alleged use of force by agents has really become a flashpoint there in Chicago.
And we'll see what happens.
You know, it amazes me. Whenever you see a law enforcement officer try to explain something, well, we're going to use the least amount of force. You use tear gas on unarmed protesters. Let's stress this again. You supposedly have been emboldened by Taco and Ice Barbie, given unlimited budgets, and even in the middle of a freaking government shutdown, you guys are still being paid to basically be the modern day Nazi police. And you're going to sit there and say the least amount of force was necessary to control the crowd. I wonder how he feels about that, doing that to a children's trick-or-treating parade. Yeah, that happened.
This morning, Homeland Security is defending actions taken by federal officers in Chicago over the weekend that sparked outrage from some residents.
Tear gas at Old Irving Park right now, our own neighborhood, scaring our children.
A Halloween parade for kids canceled after agents deployed what appeared to be tear gas.
We were supposed to be standing on this corner with hundreds of families walking around, and we're just being terrorized by ICE.
DHS says the agents were acting in self-defense after a crowd started gathering during the arrest of a construction worker who was in the country illegally.
I'm gonna throw it right back at you.
In another neighborhood, a confrontation with ICE agents turning violent.
Go ahead.
Angry residents shouting and masked agents making an arrest. Agents deploying a gas canister and moments later pushing a woman to the ground before driving off in a van.
Get up, get up.
And on Friday, agents were trying to arrest construction workers at a private home.
You have no permission to be on my property.
When one worker became caught in a tug of war with an agent and co-worker who managed to pull him through a window into the home. Border Patrol Commissioner Greg Bovino tells ABC News nearly 3,000 people have been arrested in Chicago so far since the immigration crackdown started last month. Bovino is due in court tomorrow after this video appeared to show him throwing tear gas last week.
So again, I really want him to explain. Your officers decided that throwing tear gas near children because they said the crowd was basically surrounding them. Here's what I gotta say about these people that they keep signing up. We talked about that, a lot of ICE officers couldn't pass a fitness test. We said that a lot of ICE officers are not well educated. We've sat there and said a lot of ICE officers are signing up because, if you got student loans, you'll be automatically forgiven. You're getting a $50,000 signing bonus if you sign up for ICE. So that tells me that ICE is not looking for the cream of the crop. They're just trying to make sure their numbers are big enough to make sure they make it look like they're actually making a difference. That being said, you will never be able to explain why launching tear gas on children, traumatizing children, At the same time, ICE will. ICE, Department of Homeland Security, they're not going to be. They're not going to be handcuffed as they should, because you know why? The current administration will defend them, saying, "Well, they arrested 3,000 people." Well, I'm sorry, are all 3,000 people illegal immigrants? I mean, we saw it in Washington when he occupied Washington, that the so-called arrests were minor offenses. I think it was like less than 2% were actually illegal immigrants. Less than 2%. Everybody else was a various of broken laws that we did cover. But let's think about that for a second, right? Let's think about that. First off, border cops are not there to de-escalate situations. They're not. At the same time, because of the regime that we're under, they're not going to be trained de-escalation as much as they say they are. A lot of them are looking for a reason. And sometimes like I said, we had one story where one pastor was shot with a paintball just because he was wanting them to be forgiven. You had a woman just now get pushed out of the way because she wanted to film, which she is enabled to do, and she wasn't in contact with the officer, but the officer decided to push her down as he hopped in the car and tried to speed off. Ladies and gentlemen, these cops that have literally been deputized should not be. And at the same time, those kids, I hope the parents sue. It is my hope the parents effing sue. Because you know what? Since ICE has got this wonderful budget, they'll be using it for lawsuits. And I hope the parents sue. Because who the hell thought it was a good idea to rip tear gas on children? That lets you know how far we've actually come and how low it's actually gotten. But speaking of law enforcement, the case of Sonia Massey. For all those that don't remember Sonia Massey, we did cover it last year about a woman that called the police thinking that someone was at her house. It started off fine and jovial until she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," while picking up a pot of boiled water, and the officer shot her. Literally shot an unarmed woman holding a pot of boiled water. That officer, who's no longer an officer, was actually starting his day in court, and when we leave it, the jury was currently in deliberation. But for all those that need a refresher course,
the former Illinois deputy accused of killing a black woman in her own home tells a jury today, taking the stand in his own defense, that he felt the only weapon that was appropriate was his pistol. To respond to the threat, he says he felt from Sonia Massey. Sean Grayson, you see him in court sketches there. Kind of a surprise move today, taking the stand to testify. Remember, Massey called 911 late one night last year, worried about a prowler. Body cameras captured her, this video, in her own home, picking up a pot of boiling water and telling Grayson, "I rebuke you," in her words, "in the name of Jesus." Grayson then yells at Massey to drop the pot. Seconds later, fires 3 shots. Prosecutors say Massey was never a real threat to Grayson, arguing he'd gotten frustrated with her throughout the night. But Grayson's lawyer says his client's actions were reasonable under the circumstances. Grayson has pleaded not guilty to 3 counts of first-degree murder. I want to bring in Maggie Vesper for us.
So we'll leave it there because it goes to legal analysis. But yeah, that was the story. That Sonia Massey, all she did was pick up a pot of boiling water because, again, she called the police thinking that there was an intruder at her house. The officers went around, found nothing, was all jokey, and then all of a sudden, it's like, "Oh, no, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And apparently that must have been a trigger word for Mr. Trigger Happy Son Bitch, who decided to shoot her. Let me tell you something. I have talked many times on what law enforcement can do around this country. I have sat there and said it multiple times. This officer saying that his pistol was the best way to utilize to neutralize the threat tells you off the bat that these officers are not trained to serve and protect. They are trained to shoot and kill, and then say, "I fear for my life," when it becomes a person of color they shot. I don't feel bad for this man. I hope he is found guilty. I hope that the book is thrown at him, because it has been long since time that law enforcement officers who are more trigger happy than problem solving should not be law enforcement officers, and those that actually do take lives unnecessarily should spend the rest of their lives in jail. But we will follow up on that one once the jury deliberates. Like I said, the jury has been deliberating since yesterday, so there may be a ruling today or not. Either way, we'll let you know. But as we're getting to the end, guys, of this podcast, again, I know I talked about the fact that we are going to basically see some, with all this growth that these companies are doing, right? All this growth, there are several companies that are doing massive layoffs. Why? Well, one reason is because of AI. At least that's the way Amazon tells it.
Tonight, the massive cuts at Amazon, 14,000 corporate positions slashed, as the company says it is staying nimble as it embraces the changes brought about by artificial intelligence. In a company memo calling this generation of AI the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet, adding Amazon needs to be organized more leanly, echoing what CEO Andy Jassy said this summer.
With every technical transformation, there will be fewer people doing some of the jobs that the technology actually starts to automate.
LinkedIn chief economist Karen Kimbrough says this is just the beginning.
What we're seeing is it's jobs in HR and marketing, also engineering, media and comms. We're going to have a long, I think, 5 to 10 years of watching roles, evolve under the pressure of AI, but there's also going to be some new opportunities.
Opportunities also for small businesses. At this popcorn shop in Maine, Julie and Paul Roberts make 40 flavors of popcorn. Their newest ingredient, AI.
We have been able to create a whole brand new website with the use of AI. I have used it for our social media, for email blasts. It's been incredible.
And that's instead of hiring a person.
It is. Yes, absolutely.
A new technology she can't afford to pass up.
So again, guys, yes. But first, let's get this for a second. I am a tech person. I am an IT person. Been doing it for over 10 years. I have sat there and said that AI is the most dangerous thing that you can do. AI is the most dangerous thing that you can add, because what happens with AI is that companies look at it as a way of being cheap. They will look at this and say, hey, this program could do the work of one person or 5 people or 10 people or 100 people. So the cost of that AI program to a company will outweigh the cost of paying employees. And here's the problem with that. Once corporations figure that out, there are a lot more unemployed people than there are available jobs. And we're seeing that. Amazon has sat there and said, well, we can, we'll cut 14,000 corporate jobs because their AI can do it. Think about that. 14,000 corporate jobs. But notice that none of the, let's just call them labor jobs, the ones that are filing, packing, unloading, loading, driving, things of that nature, last mile deliveries, they can't be done by AI. Those still involve a human element. But here's the problem we're running into, folks, is that these sectors, as the economist said, you got to think for HR, for IT, for go down the line, all white collar jobs, I guess you can call them. Those white collar jobs will disappear because companies will sit there and say, hey, we saved, so and such money buying this program, but, we've also seen jobs disappear. I love when they say, well, jobs may evolve. No, jobs will disappear. AI will lead to loss of jobs. And the problem is every company out there is adapting to it. And it's, I want to say it's like the .com bubble back in the 90s, 2000s. I want to say it's the .com bubble when everything was having a website, when the internet was still bright, shiny, and new, and everything was a website. And my thing is that bubble bursted, and we went back to employing people again. Now, can the same thing happen with AI? It may take a freaking while. Like, not gonna lie, it may take a while. But here's what I'm worried about. I mean, because again, this is just in the last 24 hours, guys. Because Target is cutting jobs, Amazon's cutting jobs, UPS has been cutting jobs on a weekly basis. I want to say UPS has, as of this year, I think they've cut 48,000 jobs, give or take a number. 48,000 jobs, 34,000 if it's operational positions, and another 14,000 in specific roles being reduction. That includes management. So you got to think UPS, because we talked about UPS last year. Remember with the drivers and these metal trucks are basically coffins in the summertime, and that they actually needed air conditioning in trucks, and UPS fought that along until they caved into the union, and now UPS is sitting there saying, "Hey, we can utilize AI." So what have they done? They've utilized it, and what has happened? 48,000 people since then have had to go find new jobs. Target, which again, Target needs to burn a fiery death for the fact that it doubled down on getting rid of its DEI programs, and now it's in the toilet. Well, 1,800 corporate positions from there is about to be eliminated. Why? Well, because of the fact of dwindling sales, but their new CEO also wants to include AI. Nestle, 16,000 jobs globally. Why? Because, again, they want to include AI. Intel, which, again, put themselves up as the next big bang boom business as far as under Biden and now kissing up the taco's ass. By the end of this year, they would have cut 75,000 jobs. 75,000. And not even counting what Microsoft, because we covered them back not too long ago, where they were cutting 6,000 people from the workforce after all their mass acquisitions. Now think about just for example, that's not even counting the latest one, and I just want to bring this up really quickly. That's not counting out Paramount Skydance, that will slash about 2,000 jobs. So again, think about all these companies that are bringing record profits, and now about to slash anywhere from 1,800 to almost 75,000 jobs in a single year. And yet, it's the perfect storm. It is really and truly the perfect freaking storm. Tacos, tariffs, the introduction of overuse of AI, wage income gap problems, government shutdown, benefits disappearing, people finding it hard to feed themselves and their families. And on top of that, you got to worry about whether or not AI is going to take your job. If not today, then tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, we may never, I don't wish the purge, but if there was ever a time that the perfect storm of it may happen, just saying. Because again, it amazes me that because, and I guess not the fact that I don't wish for the purge, I don't, but I will say this. Those that voted for him, we don't like you guys. We are tired of the finding out part because you decided to do the FA part. You wanted to FA, and now the rest of us have FO'd. And the rest of us are now PO'd. Only because you decided that the red hat was better than the black woman. And again, we have nobody to blame but you. That being said, guys, we are going to go on to our feel good segment because usually on How the Frack We Got Here, we do cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom. Sometimes make you faith humanity, but hey, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Thursday, as it usually falls Wednesday. We will leave you guys out some good vibrations. We got two stories. I'll do just that. The first one, I always said it best. No matter what, give flowers. Give flowers to those that can still receive them, to honor them, to praise them, and whatever they do. In this case, that man takes it literally.
Says it with flowers. Maurice Harris is a well-known floral artist and businessman in Los Angeles. And the owner of Bloom and Plume can't help brightening up people's days with random acts of giving out bouquets. Take a look.
Last time somebody gave you flowers.
Oh, I buy myself flowers.
Oh, you do? Okay, well, I'm going to change that. Here. Aww. When's the last time somebody gave you flowers?
I've never been flowers.
What? Wait a minute. Here's a big one for you. And there's a little baby girl.
Yes, thank you.
Men, black men specifically, we don't get our flowers very often, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But we need to be celebrating. We need to celebrate each other. Don't you think?
That's true.
For you.
Oh, for me?
Yeah. When's the last time somebody gave you flowers?
Ages.
Really?
I actually have tattoos of flowers to remind me like I'm worthy
of love, you know? Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is so sweet.
Gosh.
I love that.
Fantastic. Making the world a better place.
And again, I can't knock that because, like I said, give flowers to people who are still here to receive them. That man sat there and made a point to say, you know what? I'm going to give you flowers, whether or not you haven't gotten them, whether it's been a while, whether you deserve or not. And honestly, I can't give all you flowers, but you all deserve flowers. Except everybody that vote for Taco, you deserve caca. But and it's supposed to be a feel-good segment, not a knockdown segment. We also got another one as well. This one about triplets from their mother's native of Jamaica, country of Jamaica, and also for all those in Jamaica. Hopefully, you guys staying safe and out of danger because Hurricane Melissa is a massive superstorm. So if you are watching this from Jamaica, and I kind of found that some of y'all do, which I do appreciate. Hopefully you guys are staying safe. Hopefully you guys are nice and dry and still able to come out once that hurricane passes. But these triplets may actually not only break barriers, but also make history.
Alpine skiing is an individual sport, but the Rivers triplets, Helena, Anaya, and Henry IV, have always had a built-in team.
What's it like having two other siblings that are just minutes apart?
It has its ups and downs.
Yeah. Let's focus on the ups.
We're really close.
Yeah,
we do everything together.
Even when it's annoying, we still love each other so much, and we're each other's best friends.
A unique bond the 18-year-olds share as they look to become the first triplets to ever compete at the same Winter Olympics.
What would it mean to go to the Olympics with your siblings?
It would mean a lot. I use my sisters as motivation towards skiing because without them, I really wouldn't be the skier who I am today.
I don't want to do it by myself, so I'd rather have them with me.
The triplets from New York inherited their love of snow from their parents, who are ski instructors.
They were exposed to snow and outdoors before they turned one.
She was racing with them in her belly.
Helena, Hanaya, and Henry started racing themselves at the age of 5 and have not looked back, with Hanaya and Henry competing in the Youth Olympic Games last year. Now, all three are working to qualify and represent Jamaica, their mom's birthplace, at the 2026 Milan Cortina Olympics.
And most folks, when they think about Jamaica, they don't think about alpine skiing.
No, they think about running. Track and field.
There's also that iconic Jamaican bobsled team immortalized in the movie Cool Runnings.
Feel the rhythm. Feel the ride. Get on up. It's bobsled time.
But Jamaica did not have an alpine skier in the Winter Olympics until 2022. It's a lack of representation in the sport overall that the Rivers triplets are all too familiar with.
We weren't really seeing other athletes of color around us, so that's one thing that we really had to learn how to navigate. And it's still hard, but it's gotten easier as we've gone older.
Have you ever felt like you don't belong?
Yeah,
yes.
many times.
Yes.
Many times,
Or
but
you just
brush it off.
Yeah.
They're also using it as motivation as they look to inspire more athletes of color and from the Caribbean to compete in snow sports.
Years down the line, there'll be Nordic skiers for Jamaica, ice ski. I believe it.
Do you really?
Yes.
Do you ever take a moment and you just sort of step back from all of it and you're like, we are triplets on the verge of making an Olympic team in skiing?
Yeah,
you do? You kind of step
I don't
back?
know, honestly.
Sometimes.
I mean, the whole thing's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
There are times where you're walking and then you say it in your head. You're just like, wait, like this is insane.
All right, so now we're all pulling for him.
Yes.
By the way, their dad, he also told me that he sees this as something bigger than them. The goal here, he doesn't matter where they finish. He said the goal is about opening doors so that in 20 years, we'll see more athletes of color competing in skiing and other winter sports as well. And we also should mention, while the triplets are, of course, focused on their Olympic goals right now, their hearts are with the family and their friends who are, of course, impacted right now by the hurricane down in Jamaica. In fact, they posted a video this week sharing a message of support. Their dad says they've been checking in with them as much as they can. But it was cool cool to see all three of them like training together, working out, but also giving each other grief like siblings do.
As only siblings can.
And by the way, when I was into Grill Jamaica, that Cool Runnings bobsled is out there on the beach by a bar. You can go get your picture taken with it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Carson, we know. But no, I just thought that was cool. I like I said, I'm rooting for them. Like I said before, you think about that. And for people of color, I cannot stress enough that opens doors. And of course, Cool Runnings is really big. For a lot of people, like, Cool Runnings really happened. Yes, it was based on a bobsledding team from Jamaica. Disney may have Hollywoodized a little bit, but it's based on real events. But not to take away from these three wonderful athletes, because I will watch them in the Olympics. At the same time, guys, doors are opening. I mean, we're seeing it not just in skiing, but like I said, speed skaters. I cannot think of that one speed skater's name to save my life. I think she got a silver medal the last time she competed the Olympics. I apologize for not remembering your name. But doors are opening, and that's beautiful, man. That is something that I never thought I would be able to sit there and say, because as doors are opening, we're starting to take over. We're more than just basketball, football, and baseball, folks. We are more than capable, and we should be able to shine as brightly as our parents know us to be. But get a little teary-eyed thinking about that. We'll root for them, definitely, even though, like I said before, you may be Jamaica, but we still gonna root for you because we root for everybody black, right? That being said, that's going to do it for this podcast, guys. Thank you all for watching, for liking, for letting people know this is live. I certainly appreciate that. Some shameless plugging before we do get out of here, guys. Shout out to Always Press Record, our APR TV. Why? Because How the Frack shows on their network. You can find them on the Roku channel app or Amazon Fire TV app, along with many other shows that are there as well. But definitely check them out, guys. You will not be disappointed. Also, BlurStation.com. You've heard me talk about Blur Station a lot, guys. It is a streaming site with content made for us, by us, to enjoy. They literally just had a reveal of one of their shows that they actually will be exclusive to on Blur Station. You want to find out about it? Go to BlurStation.com and check out what's there. Also, if you do want to sign up, it is $10.99 a month to stream Blur Station. $10.99 a month to stream Blur Station, and Blur Station streams on all smart devices. Again, you will not be disappointed. Also, How the Frack We Got Here can be found on YouTube. Literally, guys, if you type in How the Frack We Got Here podcast, I am the first thing that pops up. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button for every time we do have a live show or we do have a show added. And again, none of this cannot be done without you guys. So please help me continue in the mission to inform, to get you past the BS, to get you informed, to get you involved. Definitely like, share, and subscribe. Also, you can find us on Spotify as well as Google and Apple Play Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. But you can also find us on Spotify, especially at How the Frack We Got Here. Definitely subscribe there, guys, as audio versions of the show will be uploaded there as well. Also, check out my other show if you're into video games, if you're into anime, comics, things of that nature, along with me and my other two cohorts at the Get Bit Podcast. And notably, the GB Podcast as well. Like, share, and subscribe. We usually come on every Friday, right about 9 p.m. Central Time, guys, and we talk about news of the week. This Friday, because it's Halloween, we will not have a live show, but definitely check out all the shows we have there. And again, guys, your subscriptions, your participation, your Patreon is always accepted, and I want to thank you for that. Also, for myself, guys, you can find me Black_Spartan 615 on the socials. You can like and follow me. I usually talk to everybody. Just don't make it weird. I don't want to start blocking people. At the same time, guys, again, I cannot stress this enough. Please protect your peace. Please protect what makes you happy. Go outside. Go enjoy the weather. I know right now it's kind of rainy here in Tennessee, but wherever you are, enjoy the last bits of summer because fall and winter are coming, and I cannot wait. Check on your people. And again, guys, I know right now it just seems that every time we turn around, something else terrible is happening. But keep your head up. Again, keep your spirits up. Keep your peace. Protect your strength. And again, we'll all make it. I promise you. Also, as same thing, guys. One last thing. The midterms are coming up. At the same time, before I get to the midterms, let me say this. Please look out for those that you can. I always say it best. Right now, Republicans ain't gonna look. The Republicans are not gonna look out for anybody. But if you have the ability, notice what I said. if you have the ability to provide a little something to somebody, if you have the ability to be able to help, whether it's financially or buy food for someone else without putting yourself in the same hole, if you have the ability to help, please do so. Please help people if they need to help. If they need directions of food banks. I know here in Tennessee we have Second Harvest along with other organizations. If you are needing help, please reach out. And if you have the ability to help somebody, please reach out. The only thing we can do at this point is help each other, feed each other, and organize. We cannot depend on Taco and his administration to help us out when they're too busy trying to line their own pockets and to make sure that their rich friends are taken care of. So again, if you have the ability to help somebody, please do so. Also, again, for those in Jamaica, please stay safe, please stay above water, please stay dry, and hopefully this hurricane will definitely pass. At the same time, guys, last thing I'll say about How the Frack We Got Here, it's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are simply giving you all the information, allowed to make up your own mind, but we do provide a logical perspective that goes along with it. We do better as society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past and making decisions now that we should have done back then, like electing our first Black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first Black woman as the Federal Reserve Governor of the board, electing our first Black woman, hopefully one day, that they will say, congratulations, Madam President, all great things. We don't learn from history. We are doomed to repeat things. That's why we keep asking ourselves, why does everything go up at our paycheck? Why are we electing different politicians, but still the same old game in Congress? And most importantly, how the frack we got here. Thank you all, guys, for watching. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and I promise we will get through this. Live long and prosper, guys. Yes, I'm a Trekkie. Yes, I will say it because I mean it. Peace, guys.